Good evening, and this is Shanghai Fly speaking to you from a very windy JFK Terminal 4. Please join me this evening as I fly from the Big Apple to the Panda capital on board China's finest airline.
It's now 11 PM at JFK and I'm about to board Hainan Airlines HU79016 to Chengdu. The check-in counters are generally empty when I arrive and there was not even an agent standing at the business class counter. Terminal 4 really has a shabby interior and it looks even more sluggish and unappealing in the night.
Now, since Hainan Airlines does not belong to any major airline alliances, there are very limited choice of lounge for them at Terminal 4. The only airport contracted lounge which is also accessible by priority pass is called the Wingtips Lounge, which is located at a very remote corner on the second floor of the terminal.
The Wingtips Lounge can be accessed by a number of small airlines, with Hainan Airlines being the only Skytrax 5 stars on the list. The lounge itself has individual sitting area and a dining room, both of which feature a rather dilapidated furniture. The lack of proper lighting in the lounge makes the space look cluttered and unsanitized. Since Hainan Airlines only started JFK operations 2 years ago, they were unable to obtain better time slots, so all of their flights coming in and out of JFK depart very late in the evening or early in the morning, to be precise. One notorious aspect about Hainan Airlines is the incredibly frequent aircraft swap, especially last minute. My flight was switched from what was a reverse herringbone configured 787-9er to the airline's oldest 787-8 with 222 configuration.
Now, having spent the past hour inside the Wingtips Lounge here at JFK Terminal 4, I would strongly recommend against coming here early if you are flying Hainan Airlines out of JFK. Now, it's very rare to see JFK at such an eerily quiet moment, but currently it's about 12:35 AM local time, and Hainan Airlines flight is one of the latest scheduled commercial service departing out of Terminal 4. The area behind me here is Gate Bravo 29, where we will be departing from this evening. So you can see the ground staff are now setting up the lanes for boarding. Visually, I see only about 100 passengers in this crowd here, which is a relatively very light load, I would say, for a 15-hour trans-Pacific long-haul flight.
Passengers. Thank you.
Take her closer. Take her closer. 你好，需要帮您确认一下位置吗？
是位，是。
I started the flight with a seasonal cocktail. As there were only 4 passengers occupying the 18-seat default cabin, the service was very efficient. Slippers are a must-offer on board Chinese carriers. As you can see, this 222 configured 787-8 is even older than the ones on 787-9, with an outdated seat control and limited storage spaces. The amenity kit remained to be Samsung on the outside, however, the Bvlgari lotions and other products are replaced with clearance, a conspicuous cost-cut maneuver following Hainan's poor financial condition.
欢迎乘坐海南风167916航班由纽约前往成都。今天航路预计飞行时间13小时30分钟，巡航高度47000英尺。航路保护有颠簸，建议大家全程系安全带。在座代表全体机组，祝大家旅途愉快，谢谢。
Our Hainan 7916, confirm we hold up Zulu.
Hainan 7916 heavy, 320 at 17, that's 23, runway 31 left, clear for takeoff.
Runway 31 left, clear for takeoff, Hainan 7916. Hainan 7916 airborne.
Hainan 7916, contact 12517.
257, have a good day, Hainan 7916.
Hainan 7916, is for Toyota contact. Turn left heading 090, termination 115.
Hainan is one of the 5-star airlines out there that still institutes a dine-on-demand service. On this particular flight, I chose to have a supper instead after takeoff, since it was evening hour in China. The menu does not contain too many choices, but each sounds delicate. When flying with Hainan, Chinese cuisine is definitely worth giving it a try. Crew serving me today is a new business class intern, but did perform a very nice job given the low occupancy. Appetizers in the Chinese menu turns out to be several pieces of poached chicken breast, which are absolutely tasteless, emblematic of the awful Chinese catering from JFK. The main course of the day on board is served in a fan-shaped porcelain set. As someone who is a huge fan of Mandarin Oriental hotels, this is absolutely a beloved design. Hainan is famous for its prolific dessert selections. The crew insisted to me trying the cheese, fruit and cake trio, but I denied the cheese to remain abstinent with still over 10 hours ahead. Regardless of the taste, the presentation of the food on Hainan is certainly outstanding. I have to say that the 222 configuration is the best you can get when having the seat next to you being empty. The bed is totally unobstructed, and as a result I was able to set my portable workstation and slept for a solid 6 hours straight. Halfway into the flight, I had the consent of the Sky chef for me to peek into how a bowl of beef noodle is prepared at 35,000 feet. This magazine, published by the Commercial Aviation Association of China, became the souvenir of this flight for me. It was actually a surprisingly intriguing and informative read if you understand Mandarin. Chengdu was within arm's length as the cabin moonlight has been turned on to sunrise mode. One aspect I always hate is how every passengers are served breakfast at 3 AM in a 5 AM arrival. Not very helpful at all for jet lag. Hainan's Chinese-style breakfast is really on par with the one served by Taiwanese carrier Eva Air. My only complaint would be its enormous portion. Fruit platter is served to conclude the meal service. Hainan 787-8 can be a perfect choice with privacy if the cabin is mostly empty. However, the individual storage space is a disappointment, and I am quite sure it's going to be a nightmare if you fly a full load on this type of seating. Now that concludes a 13-hour flight on board a Skytrax 5 Star Airline. Hainan's poor financial performance is certainly leaving traces to be found on board with the cost-cutting on amenities. However, a Trans-Pacific business class for only $1,800 round trip is no doubt incredible, especially when considering the dine-on-demand, pajamas and 10-gam service, which assembles a 5-star airline. Thank you for watching along, and please check out my next daytime flight from Chengdu to Beijing on board the same aircraft but with a whole different service procedure. I hope you all enjoy flying at 35,000 feet before I see you again. Good day.